Homeschooling versus public schooling. This is a very interesting topic because a lot of parents now are trying to homeschool their students. This is good in certain instances, but at the same time, public schooling, although it doesn't have a good reputation, depends on where you live at. Public schooling is more effective than homeschooling. I say this because although there are high statistic rates for students who are homeschooled, they do not get the same effectiveness as they do as attending public schools. Students who attend public schools, they get the ability to interact with other students, they get teacher interaction, and they also get other different ways to learn versus being homeschooled. Homeschool students are normally more isolated because they don't have student and teacher interaction. They're normally just them and the teacher, which is typically their parent or someone that they hired to homeschool the student. They don't. They tend to be socially isolated. Um, Public schooling. This is why public schooling is good for students because most kids who tend to be socially isolated normally have issues and be coming out in the real world when they're adults. After graduation and completing school, those students who are homeschooled really don't know how to interact with people out in the real world because they didn't get the experience of being with other students and being around other kids and being with teachers while they were being homeschooled. So they may be tend to be shy. They may not know how to act around other people. Um, they may know how to respond. They giving speeches will be hard for them because they're not used to being around more people. This is why public schooling is good. Most parents they should tend to put their kids in public schooling, although most parents don't want their students to go into public school due to either maybe violence or due to the fact that they just don't want them around people. They should consider it for the child's sake. Most kids, again, I say, who are socially isolated, they tend to have more problems than kids who have been able to interact. Those kids are more afraid to speak with their parents. They're not open as people who are in public school because they don't know how to express their emotions and they don't know how to display these things. Also, students who are homeschooled, everything is mostly straight out the book. So they go by a strict curriculum, they follow that curriculum, and that's how they learn. Basis in public schooling, they have more one-on-one learning. Therefore, the kids are actually being taught. It's more than just a curriculum based straight out the book or a strict curriculum that they have to follow. They have things like projects, they have things like rallies, they have things like fairs. All these things are hands-on learning for these students. They have the ability also, if they don't understand anything, they have the ability to go to tutoring. They have the ability to come up with study groups with other students who are having issues and help one another. Versus homeschooling, they can't do this. When they're in homeschool, typically there is no one in the classroom with them, so they don't have anyone to form a study group with, or they don't have anyone to help them out. Versus if they were at public school and they can get more people to help them. Um, Public schooling is also good for students who like to be involved. Again, it's not always good for especially younger people. Um, they need to learn to express themselves, and being in homeschooling, you can express yourself because you're not around people who are like you, or you don't meet friends, and not having friends can also cause isolation and problems with that child. They may become socially awkward. So when it's time for them to go out into the real world and get a job, they don't know how to react due to not being able to have the social ability. Um, Public school enables students to become more productive. Um, they have things like extracurricular activities. They teach students structure, um, practices, and if they're on a dance or band or chess club, anything, it helps these students to learn organization and structure versus being homeschooling. All they have to do is get on the computer or follow this curriculum on paper and do this every day. Um, Public schooling is more spontaneous and it stimulates the student's brain more. It helps them to learn more. Public schooling also, it gives the kids more opportunities. They have more opportunities for growth. They, if they're having issues, they have more sources available to them. Versus in homeschooling, they really have no one to go to other than their instructor or their parents, and most times they don't like to go to their parents. So that's why public schooling is good because they have their friends that they can rely on, and then